Good evening and hello world. I'm Miyah and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my vlog series. So far I have been able to share my own experiences on what it's like for me to live with Asperger's syndrome. A second thing that I will do is give my 2 cents on what's going on with autism in the media. A third area entails providing tips and advice for those of you that are on the spectrum, as well as your friends, family members, peers, mentors, educators, employers, and anybody that's out there in the community. And I also, on occasion, will cover topics on things that I'm passionate about. But before I dive into tonight's topic, what I would like to do first is mention a few things. So number 1, please be sure to check out this video in the upper right-hand corner. This is called Can You Make It All the Way? And it was made by the National Autism Society. And I think you would find it quite fascinating because it talks about what it's like for somebody with autism to go into a shopping mall. And I had to show it being that I use my autism videos as a resource for the autism community. A second thing that I would like you guys to do is check out my written blogs on Wordpress.com, and you can find those under helloworld240.wordpress.com. That's helloworld240.wordpress.com. And finally, please be sure to know that I am going to be at a couple of autism conferences. So the first one will be at the Autism Conference of Chattanooga on April 21st, 2017. And finally, I also would like you guys to check out my autism conference in Exposition, Georgia, which will be May 3rd and 4th. And I will be speaking at both of them. And if you would like to meet me, I would be happy to meet you too. So what I would like to do now, though, is give my 2 cents on autism and the media. And I wanted to do something a little fun. But first, I wanted to mention that I have always loved watching movies and television all my life, and particularly creative things like animation, sci-fi. I like inspirational things too. But I decided to do a vlog on different characters that I think are on the autism spectrum and talk about specific traits. So here they are. Number 1, I thought that the character Pee Wee Herman, as I had recently watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure last month, was on the spectrum because A, he had the childlike personality and he also was distinct from everybody else around him. And 2, you look at his house, he's an inventor and he's also the engineering type mind. And you also notice that when his bike gets stolen, that he rains terror on his neighbors. And, you know, he does it for hours on end, and he doesn't want to let it go, and he doesn't want to handle it in a reasonable fashion because he's so frustrated due to the fact that his beloved bike was taken away. Another trait that Pee-wee's on the spectrum is if you watch his latest movie, which was done by Netflix, you will see that his character has limited interest, like he's interested in playing in a band, but that all of his other friends or members of the band want to move on and try new things. And to him, that's the end of the world. That's frustrating. That to him, that's torture. And that's the way most people with Asperger's act. A second person, which is a really bad example, but he shows traits, is the character Ed from Nickelodeon's Good Burger, and the show All That. If you notice, he has trouble understanding boundaries, and he has trouble understanding that what other people mean. For instance, when people say something figuratively, he can't grasp that or can't pick that up. Like, there's a time where somebody asks him for a Good Burger with nothing on it. So he takes a bun out of a bag and gives it to him, and the other guy gets frustrated with him because he didn't give him a plain hamburger with the bun inside. And that's another example. I don't like all the examples of that movie because they made him look really stupid, even though at the end of the movie they made Ed really brilliant and really intelligent. So those are some really, really good examples. A third character that I think is definitely on the autism spectrum is the character Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Now, she doesn't have problems reading cues, and she doesn't have problems with sensory issues, But you notice with her character, she has issues with learning. Like, she can't study in a book, and she's struggling to take an exam to become a Wonderbolt. But what the character Twilight Sparkle and Rainbow Dash discover is that Rainbow learns by flying and cataloging and memorizing everything as she flies down below. And they figure out that's how she's going to learn. So you realize that Rainbow Dash's character is a visual learner. And lots of people on the autism spectrum are visual. And this comes as no surprise for those of you that are fans of the TV show The Big Bang Theory. Sheldon Cooper. You look at Sheldon Cooper's character and you notice that he's somebody who has problems reading nuances with sarcasm, and he also has problems reading facial expressions. And yes, he has the classic lack of empathy that a lot of stereotypes talk about, but you notice that he's always willing to work on that lack of empathy, and he's always willing to backtrack. Another thing about him is that Sheldon Cooper is somebody who is brilliant, and he has a one-track mind, and lots of people with autism have the one-track mind. And finally, my last and top fifth is Forrest Gump. Now, Forrest Gump has been around longer than Sheldon Cooper, and the reason why you think Forrest is on the spectrum is because he has the classic eidetic memory, and he sits on a bench and can talk for hours about his life, and you notice he pays attention to every single detail. Other things that prove that Forrest is a spectrumite is that he has no filter and basically tells it like it is. Like when he goes up and speaks with President Kennedy, he asks him, "Congratulations, how do you feel?" And of course, Forrest Gump drinks too many sodas, and instead of "it's an honor to be here," he says, "I have to pee." And that's a really, really common thing for people on the autism spectrum. They will tell you the honest truth. They don't care about the social norms or the social skills. They will tell you what's on their mind. So anyway, I'm out of time. Please be sure to know that I do video footage every Monday. I do video footage every Sunday, and I put it up every Monday. So please be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I would also love to hear from you. And be sure to share these. Until next time, I'm Miyah Sundermeyer, and I'm signing off.